Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayam Vishnu Padamahamsa Parivrajikacharya Ashtadhara Shri Srimad Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai Jayam Vishnu Padamahamsa Parivrajikacharya Ashtadhara Shri Srimad Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada Ki Jai Grantaraj srimadbhagavatam Ki Jai. All glories of the assembled devotees, all glories of the assembled devotees, all glories of the assembled devotees, all glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Do you think you could grab a Bhagavad Gita, please, Glenn? Thanks. Okay, so we're reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, entitled Creation of the Fourth Order. Chapter 12, Jiva Maharaj goes back to Godhead. Text 43. Ya chatra bandor bhuvitasya dirudam anvyarurukshid api varshapugai. Thank you. Shat pancha varsho yad ahobir alpai sadya vaikuntam vapatatparam. Ya chatra bandor bhuvitasyadirudham anvyarurukshid api varshapugai. Shatpancha varsho yadaho bir alpai sadhavai kuntam avapatatparam. Yachatra bandur bhuvitasyadirudham anvyarurukshid api varshapugahe. Shatpanchavarsho yadaho bir alpai Sadavai kuntama vapatat padam Okay. Word by word translations. Yaha, one who. Chatrabandhu, the son of a Kshatriya. Bhuvi, on the earth. Tasya, of Dhruva. Adirudam, the exalted position. Anu, after. Arurukshet, can aspire to attain. Api, even. Varshapugaye, after many years. Shatpanchavarshaha, 5 or 6 years old. Yet, which. Ahobi alpai, after a few years. Excuse me. After a few days. Prasadya, after pleasing. Vaikuntam, the Lord. Avapa, attained. Tatpadam, his abode. Translation. Dhruva Maharaj attained an exalted position at the age of only 5 or 6 years, after undergoing austerity for 6 months. Alas, a great Kshatriya cannot achieve such a position even after undergoing austerities for many, many years. Purport. Dhruva Maharaj is described herein as Kshatrabandhu, which indicates that he was not fully trained as a Kshatriya because he was only 5 years old. He was not a mature Kshatriya. A Kshatriya or Brahmin has to take training. A boy born in the family of a Brahmin is not immediately a Brahmin. He has to take up the training in the purificatory process. The great sage Narada Muni was very proud of having a devotee disciple like Dhruva Maharaj. He had many other disciples, but he was very pleased with Dhruva Maharaj because in one lifetime, by dint of his severe penances and austerities, he had achieved Vaikuntha, which was never achieved by any other king's son or Rajarshi throughout the whole universe. There is the instance of the great King Bharat, who was also a great devotee, but he attained Vaikuntha Loka in 3 lives. In the first life, although he executed austerities in the forest, he became a victim of too much affection for a small deer. And in his next life, he had to take birth as a deer. Although he had a deer's body, he remembered his spiritual position, but he still had to wait until the next life for perfection. In the next life, he took birth as Jad Bharat. Of course, in that life, he was completely freed from all material entanglement, and he attained perfection and was elevated to Vaikuntha Loka. The lesson from the life of Dhruva Maharaj is that if one likes, one can attain Vaikuntha Loka in one life, without waiting for many other lives. My Guru Maharaj Sri Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada used to say that every one of his disciples could attain Vaikuntha Loka in this life, without waiting for another life to execute devotional service. Period. One simply has to become a serious and one simply has to become as serious and sincere as Dhruva Maharaj. Then it is quite possible to attain Vaikuntha Loka and go back home, back to Godhead in one life. Om Ikanitivadandasya Garanjana Shalakaya Chakshudramilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Mukam Karidvachalam Pangam Langai Tegirim Yat Kripatamaham Vande Shri Gurun Ditanam Vancha Kapudvishta Kripasindubevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. I read the translation again. Dhruva Maharaj attained an exalted position at the age of only 5 or 6 years, after undergoing austerity for 6 months. Alas, a great Kshatriya cannot achieve such a position even after undergoing austerities for many, many years. So yeah, one of the symptoms of the age of Kali is that people, they want to take positions of, you could say, respectable positions without having the qualifications. And one, you could say, or one reason why people would want to do that is because of the, I don't know, you could say, power or respect that one may get from having that position. So in other words, they want to enjoy that position, although they're not qualified. Or money, or so on. So, of course, whether one wants to take a position within the political world, or the political circles, or spiritual circles, or whatever circle someone may want to take a position, and they have to have the qualifications, or else they're a cheater. Apparently, Prabhupada one time there was some man who visited him, and he was a religions teacher, a teacher of Hinduism and so on. And then Prabhupada, the man was asking Prabhupada, what's Hinduism? And then Prabhupada said, you're a teacher of religion. You should know what Hinduism is. You tell me, what is Hinduism? Prabhupada asked, you tell me, what is Hinduism? And then the man said, I don't know. You tell me. And apparently he was saying he didn't really know. And then it went on like that. And interesting enough is, this professor was saying he really didn't know. Kind of strange, actually. So then Prabhupada got a little, you could say, upset about it, because he's in a position of a teacher, but he doesn't know what he's teaching. So then Prabhupada asked Bhakti Swarup Damodar Goswami, he said, oh, Bhakti Swarup Damodar, what do you call somebody who says they know something and they're teaching it, but they actually don't know it? And the Bhakti Swarup Damodar Goswami said, oh, Prabhupada, they call him a cheater. He's a cheater, like that. Right in front of the guy. So, it's true, though. And to call a spade is no problem, because you're telling the truth. So the idea is that people should have the qualifications of the particular positions that they are in. So a father should have the qualifications of a father, right? He shouldn't be a loafer. He should be working, providing for his family. Of course, nowadays mothers also work and provide for family, but some of the other qualifications of a father. A mother should be a mother. She shouldn't be, having children and, acting like a teenage woman or whatever, going out to the clubs and partying and ditching her children. She should have the qualifications of there's so many qualifications of a mother. This is just one aspect. So, as Prabhupada says in the purport here in the beginning, he says, just because one's born in a family of a Brahmin does not immediately make him a Brahmin. He has to take the training and purificatory process. So a symptom of the age of Kali is that it says in the 12th canto of the Srimad-Bhagavatam that people, they will just put on a thread, because the Brahmins wear a thread around their body. Brahmin thread it's called, or in Hindi it's called I'm forgetting the name. Anyways, it's a thread, and then every morning, noon, evening, you chant on that thread. You chant mantras, prayers, to meditation to the spiritual master, and to so on. And by accepting that thread, it's said that one is, you could say, allowed entrance or able to study the Vedas formally. The spiritual master has deemed that person, or the thread is symbolizing that person could study the Vedas. But these threads are very cheap. I mean, means inexpensive. You could go to India and buy a lifetime supply for $20, and every month you could put on your Brahmin thread. But the point is that you can't just be a Brahmin by putting a thread on, as people may want to do, smoking cigarettes and doing all other types of nonsense, and I'm a Brahmin. But there has to be certain qualities of a Brahmin. And we should, those of us who have taken second initiation or Brahmin initiation, we should know those qualities. And those of us who are aspiring to take second initiation, we should know those qualities, and we should try to live by those qualities in a very practical way. In the Nectar of Devotion, it says that all the good qualities will develop for one who's deeply attached to Krishna. So until we're deeply attached to Krishna, of course we should be trying to become deeply attached to Krishna, then natural good qualities will manifest, but we should also be striving to develop these qualities or work on them practically and work on becoming attached to Krishna. Why? Because we don't want to fall into the category of hypocrisy, which is symptomatic of this age of Kali. We are supposed to be above this age of Kali. The descriptions, the horrible descriptions in the Bhagavatam of the cheaters and materialistic people, devotees are supposed to be above that. We're not supposed to fulfill the predictions of the Bhagavatam. For example, it says, in Kali Yuga, whatever, it says so many things. So what are the qualities of a Brahmin that one has to be trained in and undergo purificatory process? And then one is considered Brahmin. So those are stated within the Bhagavad Gita. The qualities of a Brahmin are Shamo, Damos, Tapau, Shaucham, Chantir, Arjavameva Cha, Gyanam, Viganam, Astikya, Brahma, Karma, Svabhavajam. So peacefulness, so you have to be peaceful. Self-control, austerity, purity, tolerance, honesty, knowledge, wisdom, and religiousness. These are the natural qualities by which the Brahmins work. And as Prabhupada was saying, he wasn't fully trained as a Kshatriya because he was only 5 years old. He wasn't mature. And he says that Kshatriya and Brahmin have to take training. And what are the qualities of a Kshatriya? Shauram teja dhritir daksham yidhe chapyapalal yanam danam ishvara bhavascha chatram karma subhavajam. Heroism, power, determination, resourcefulness, courage in battle, generosity, and leadership are the natural qualities of work for the Kshatriyas. So again, if one is initiated as a Brahmin, then yeah, they should try, or initiated as a Kshatriya, whatever that means, they should try to live by these qualities as far as possible. Because people, they see these things. Oh, he's initiated. Oh, he has the name Das, or she has the name Dasi. Oh, they are part of the temple, they're part of the congregation, or whatever. And every little thing we say or do, people will see that. Like Prabhupada told his devotees in Vrindavan, who were living in India. He said, all these people are watching everything you do in Vrindavan. So all the Goswamis of the temples, all the leaders of the temple, they're all watching you to see if you are actually living like devotees and not misrepresenting the culture. So that's the challenge, because as it is, people born in America, we have conditioning. You could say American conditioning. Good old American conditioning. And that may be against the Vedic path, or against Krishna consciousness. In many ways it is, and in many cases it is. So yeah, it's a challenge. So first we have to become educated. Okay, what is the standard? What are the qualities I need to live by? And then we have to try to decondition ourselves, or recondition ourselves to live like that, Krishna consciousness. So the culture has to be there. Or else, especially within Indian, you could say in some Indian crowds who are more cultured, not American conditioned Indians, but Indian, more cultured, they'll think, oh, these people are misrepresenting my culture. I mean, even nowadays they have a saying, it's called cultural appropriation? Yeah. Means that you are, okay, there's Mexico, and then there's the Hispanic culture from there, whatever that means. So if you're born in America and you have white skin, you can't really adopt that culture. You're like stealing from that culture. It's their culture. You have to let them have it, type of thing. Of course, there's more to it, but that's one of the basic points. And some people may say that about devotees too. Okay, this is from India. You guys are just taking the culture. So the point is, if we have accepted the culture, which all of us have in this room, and many devotees have around the world, then we should know what it is and try to live by it, or else we're misrepresented, and that's not very pleasing to our spiritual authorities. And also, we don't want to be seen as hypocrites. So yeah, that's important. And in relation to Narada Muni, he was so proud to have a disciple of Dhruva Maharaj. So this is the spiritual master's pleasure. He doesn't take pleasure in, oh, well, my disciple, he's very, whatever. He's very handsome disciple, or a beautiful disciple, or whatever, or a very wealthy disciple. Or he really, I don't know, there's so many things that you could say ordinary parents may become proud of over their children. Oh, he's got a nice job, whatever. But the spiritual master, he doesn't really focus on any of these things, and that ultimately is not really pleasing. What's pleasing is that the disciple learns how to love Krishna, and the disciple goes back to Godhead. That's what's pleasing. So Dhruva Maharaj, Narada Muni, you can imagine how pleased he was that he had such nice disciples, Dhruva Maharaj. And Prabhupada's making the point that we can go back in one life to the spiritual world. We don't have to wait for many lives to go back to the spiritual world. We could complete the mission in one life. And of course, we hear two sides, right? There's the idea of being qualified to enter the spiritual world, and then there's the idea of just maybe lacking some qualification, but just due to the mercy of Prabhupada and one's spiritual master, and you could go back to Godhead. So of course, devotee, they want to try their hardest. They want to give it their best. They don't want to just, okay, well, I'm just unqualified, and hopefully when I get close to my death date, when I become usually old and sick and ready to, leave this world, that I'm just going to, hopefully they're going to take me back. And then one doesn't maybe exert as much energy as they should. So yeah, we have our hope that yes, when the time comes, whether we're young or old or whatever, when the time comes, we have our hope that yes, they will take us back. But in the meantime, we want to exert as much energy as possible. We don't want to completely depend on that, because in a wrong way, in the sense of by depending on this idea too much, then we slow down in terms of exerting energy. So it can it can happen in one life. It does. And Srila Prabhupada, he said about his spiritual master and his godbrothers, Srila Prabhupada's godbrothers, one time Tamal Krishna Goswami was on a walk with Prabhupada, and apparently Tamal Krishna Goswami was becoming a little critical towards some of Prabhupada's godbrothers. And then they're walking together, and then Prabhupada, he put on his cane and he said to Tamal Krishna Goswami, he said, I could criticize, but you can't. You don't have the right to criticize, but I can, so don't do that. And he said, my spiritual master is so merciful. He said that Krishna, when he killed Putana, the witch demon, he brought her back to Godhead. So, and she was offering service with it, yeah, sure, but the main intent was to kill Krishna. It wasn't to serve him. So, Krishna still brought her back to Godhead. So similarly, he said, my spiritual master is so merciful that he'll bring all of my God brothers back to Godhead. So, anyways. Despite some of their apparent disqualifications, that's the point. And although it can happen in one life, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it could take 1, 2, 3, 300, whatever. It could take many lifetimes, but it doesn't have to, but sometimes it does. And it probably gives the case of Bharat Maharaj. So Bharat Maharaj, he was a very qualified person. He was the king of the world, and somehow or other he left his home at an early age. Not extremely early, but he left his kingdom a little earlier than usual. And he said he left his kingdom and all of the things just as one, the Bhagavatam says, just as one after evacuating, they just leave and they just go. They don't hang around. They just leave. So he was so detached. So even though he was so detached, he went out to the forest and he was meditating, and then a doe, a female deer. Oh, sorry. Oh, what's a doe? Oh, okay. First it was the doe. She was a doe, a female deer. There's a song, right? So the doe, a doe was pregnant, and she was running from a, what was it, a lion or a tiger? Lion, yeah. She was running from a lion. You're very fearful. So, and then because of that, she was running from the lion, and then she actually died. She was so scared, and then the baby deer, the fawn, came out and it was alive because she was pregnant. So then Bharat Maharaj saw this, and he went up to that fawn, and as a nice Vaishnava, he said, "Okay, well, I'll help this fawn out." So then he was meditating in his ashram, and he would be feeding the fawn and whatever. I don't know what they do, take it on a walk or what, I don't know, but taking care of the fawn, feeding and so on. But then he started becoming just really attached to this fawn. So attached. He was meditating, and then the fawn would, come up and whatever on his ear, would nibble his ear, becoming really attached. And he was just thinking of the fawn. Sometimes people become attached to dogs or cats or. The fawn was attached to him. Yeah, it's reciprocal. Become attached. Animals attached to humans. Humans attached to animals. I mean, it's a big business actually. There's dogs out there where you pay like $30,000 for a dog. Yep. Yeah. Imagine if you have 5 of those dogs, you're selling them. I mean, it's a special dog, a breed, this and that. So he become attached. So he became attached, and then at the time of his death, he, instead of, because the mind's a very tricky thing. So of course he had Krishna consciousness. It said he was on the level of Baba, a very high level, which is a preliminary stage love of God. It's the love of God. But it said because he was meditating on that fawn so much, it said his mind, the mind's a very tricky thing. So he was getting in the process of dying, and just before death, maybe the fawn came up or whatever, but he thought of the fawn. He didn't think of Krishna. So it said because of that, his next birth, he became a deer. And in the form of a deer, he remembered his last life of Bharat Maharaj. He remembered clearly, which is quite interesting. Usually that doesn't happen. You just become an animal and that's it. But he remembered. So some devotees, they bring up this point that Bharat Maharaj, if he would have been in the association of devotees, because he was quite solo there in the forest, if he was in the association of the devotees, they would have chided him. They would have, given him the sauce. They would have chided him. They would have said, "Hey Bharat, what are you doing? You're getting a little bit too attached to this fawn. You're not. Your meditation looks like it's not so strong anymore. What's your problem?" Yeah, sloppy japa, whatever. It's. And then he would have, he would have listened, and then they would have took the fawn away, and whatever it was. But he didn't have that association, and therefore his mind just somehow or other got really attached. So yeah, this could happen in anybody's life. People become attached to an animal. People become attached to a woman. Become attached to a man. People become attached to this, that. So many things. There's a million things to become attached to. That will help us remain here in this world. So in his next life, he was a deer, and he didn't want to associate with any of the other deers. He would go by the ashram of the sages, hear the Bhagavatam class, hear the chanting. And then he died, and then he took birth as Jad Bharat. So Jad means, right, foolish or stupid or dull, right? Jad Bharat. So dull Bharat. It was just, he was intelligent, but he acted stupid because he didn't want anybody to bother him. So that's a long story, but Kali worshippers try to attack him, this and that, and kill him, and eventually, he meets the kings, and eventually he goes back to Godhead. So, but 3 lives. So yeah, we don't want to unnecessarily prolong the, you could say, visit to this material world, or the stay in this material world, or the sentence in this material world. We want to complete it as soon as possible. And therefore Prabhupada says, my Guru Maharaj, Sri Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada used to say that every one of his disciples could attain Vaikuntha Loka in this life without waiting for another life to execute devotional service. He says one simply has to become as serious and sincere as Dhruva Maharaj. Then it's quite possible to attain Vaikuntha Loka and go back home, back to God in one life. Now someone might say, become as serious as Dhruva Maharaj. How's that? I mean, become as serious and sincere as Dhruva Maharaj? I mean, 6 months, right? And, the severe eating habits he had, or no eating habits. I mean, at one point he was just like breathing in air. It was by himself in the forest, a young boy. It's just very extreme renunciation and austerity. So you have to become as serious and sincere as Dhruva Maharaj? How is that possible? And I was thinking about this, that he has his guru, Narada Muni, and Narada Muni gave him instructions. So you chant Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudeva, you follow this diet, you could say, of eating, and you worship rudimentary deity worship, right? You do all these things, and you'll get the goal. And because he was sincere and serious about it, following the orders of his guru, he attained it. So, our spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada, whether he's our direct spiritual master or grand spiritual master, means Shiksha Guru, or in some cases Diksha Guru. So in the case of Prabhupada being one's Diksha Guru, he gave those disciples instructions. And in the case of him being our Siksha Guru, and we have other Diksha Gurus, the instructions are the same. So chant 16 rounds, follow the 4 regulative principles, get up for Mangalarati, morning program, try to spread Krishna consciousness. So there's so many different things we do. So those are our instructions. So they're not as severe as Dhruva Maharaj's instructions. So Prabhupada said, prasadam is the diet, right? That's our special diet, prasadam. And the medicine is the chanting of the holy name. So these things are meant to heal us. This is a healing process. And if we become serious and sincere about following the orders of our spiritual master, the way Dhruva Maharaj did, which you could say is easier than Dhruva Maharaj's austerities by far, then also we could become qualified and go back to the spiritual world in this life, in one lifetime. And in the meantime, we try to spread Krishna consciousness here in this world. There's a lot to do. There's actually not enough time in the day for all the things that devotees want to do and would like to do in terms of Krishna consciousness. So that's important to try to stay active and alive, and then hopefully progress to the ultimate goal. So does anyone have any questions or comments?
I looked up the verse, the famous verse that you cited, you didn't quote. Yodhishtijan Dharasatan Sudadadavadisha Jaho Yabaiva Malavad.
Oh, yeah.
Yabaiva Malavad. Uttama Shloka Lalasa. And then I found out
Uttama Shloka Lalasa.
that verse, here we go, was in a summary. It's in 5:14:43, and right after that it describes what happened with the deer. And Shukadev is speaking to the king, Pricket, and how wonderful Bharat Maharaj's life was. And then he gives the prayer that the deer uttered.
Oh, yeah.
After. I won't give the Sanskrit, but I'll just read this English.
Interesting.
So this deer who's got this memory, and he's ordering this prayer. I don't know, it must be in his mind. The Supreme Lord is sacrifice personified. He gives the results of ritualistic activity. He's the protector of religious systems, the personification of mystic yoga, source of knowledge, control of the entire creation, the super soul in every living entity. He's beautiful and attractive. I'm quitting this body, offering obeisance to him in hope that I may perpetually engage in his transcendental loving service. Uttering this, Maharaj Bharat, in the form of a deer, left his body. And then he became Jada Bharat. I had forgotten about that. Famous deer.
Yeah, it's quite an interesting story.
He's on the level of Baba. Then you wonder, well, how could he do anything different? You would have had to save that fawn. Any devotee would, right? The fawn is helpless, so he's feeding the fawn. But the fallacy was that he didn't leave. Once he stayed there, the fawn is obviously going to be attracted to him and is going to distract him. So he had to have the strength of mind after the fawn had grown a little bit and was, on his feet, to just leave it in the hands of destiny and walk away and leave that fawn. That was the hard part. But it's amazing. He left his wife, he left his kids, he left his whole kingdom, but he couldn't leave that fawn. He had become so attached. So that's a lesson for us. Watch out. Come too attached. I'm sorry? Yeah. And deer, or DEAR either.
Yeah, that's a good point. DEAR. That's what they say, dear, my dear.
Yeah. I mean, we've had, history in ISKCON many, many years. Staunch sannyasis, but it's very tricky. You get attached.
Yeah, David Mritu Swami, he had a nice it's coming to my mind as Rajendranath Prabhu says, his one-liner. He said, I don't know what else to call it, little quote or whatever, but he said, vigilance is the price of freedom. So I thought that was nice, being very vigilant in one's activities, that's the price of freedom. Oh, really? Whose is it? Oh, really? Okay. Oh, it's like a war code. Yeah, I was wondering about that because, a lot of the times when people say things, it's not always coming from themselves. Like, they quote it from other things. So I was wondering. Yeah.
When I first heard that, it was all in the context of Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj. I thought he had come up with it. But then I looked at it and said, this goes way back.
Oh, yeah.
The attitude is that. I couldn't even find the origin of it. It's not new, but it's something you can start. Hey. Vigilance is the price we pay for freedom.
He's giving you the mic.
Is often mistakenly attributed to the Irish lawyer, frequently to Thomas Jefferson. So it goes way back, but it's very appropriate for us.
Sure. All right. Narendra is coming tonight. That's the plan, anyways. So. All right. Grantrad Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.